Okay, so one of the things that I went with on our first little hunt on eBay was the PSP. Now there's I should say four different versions of the Sony PSP. You have the 1000, 2000, 3000, then you have the Go. And the one I specifically wanted to go for was the PSP 2000. Now I did have this one back in the day, and I did end up selling it when the whole handheld I guess craze ended, and now I kind of want it back because I want to do some emulators and stuff on it, and I found this one. Now this one's a pretty decent price. It is going for $32.99 with $2 shipping. I did send this guy an offer and I got him down to $30 plus $2 shipping, and the only reason I did is because I was kind of unsure about the screen. Now when I take a look at the actual description, I'm being told here it's a 2000 model, which you can obviously tell. This works great. The screen does have a few light scratches, and you can see that from the picture here. You can kind of see the scratches on the outside here. And let's see what else it's telling us. It has it is a system only, no battery, charger, or cover. See pictures for details. So we're kind of stuck looking into that. If we look at stuff, you have the standard picture that has nothing to do with this purchase. But here you have the one I just showed. It's got the scratches, all expected. The overall shell looks pretty good. I don't see anything that's, you screaming at me saying this is dinged up or anything. Buttons are all present. Let's take a look at the back. Obviously, a little bit of wear and tear on the PSP area. And here we see the missing battery. Don't see any damage or anything along the lines. The warranty sticker's on there, so that implies that it has not been opened up in any form, which I guess could be good. So we're going to take a little bit of a risk here. We're going to grab this one. Should be on the way already. I'm also going to be looking for a battery and also a door. So the battery covered door to pick this up. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, so here is the door that we were looking for here. The PSP that we purchased did not come with one, and we are expecting one. We were looking for it to be shipped here in the States so it could be sent at a decent time. This one's coming supposedly from New York, and it looks just like a generic door, one of the ones you can just get probably in bulk somewhere. They want $4 shipped for it, so think theoretically you're spending somewhere around $2.50 or so for the door. Shipping is going to cost them about $1.25 or something. It just really depends. As far as any description stuff, nothing is really yelling at us. Besides the fact that this should work with the 2000, 2001, and that's really all it is. So there's nothing, too jumping out at us. Look for the cheapest one you could find. This looks brand new, so it should work for what we're looking for. So I did grab this one, and it should be to us pretty soon. They do claim to be shipping within a day, so not too bad. So while shopping for everything, I did look for one of the batteries. As we kind of mentioned, the auction that we bought the PSP from is missing a battery, which is also another reason why it's so much cheaper than all the other ones. And we can see here that this is just a standard battery. It is one of the third-party ones. You kind of take a roll of the dice on these. This one should be working pretty well. It's only $7.85 free shipping once again. These, as you can see here, they range anywhere from $7 to $10. You see them even at $12. If you go for the first-party Sony ones, you're risking that battery being good at this point anymore. They're kind of older. As you can imagine, PSP came out a long time ago. But these should be pretty good. I do have a charging cable already for the other PSPs, so that should work just fine when it comes to charging the console. So we got this wrapped up as well. So now we have the door, we've got the battery, obviously the console on the way. So let's hope everything turns out pretty well when we do that. Okay, everybody, we finally got our PSP. So we purchased this once again. If you're just catching up with the series, I'm actually going to be compiling this into one big video. We did get this PSP off of eBay. It was $30, about $32 shipped actually. The ad did say that it was missing a battery, it was missing the door, missing charger, but works great. So finally got it. I thankfully have a slim battery. Here is the battery for the slim. I also have one for the standard, thankfully. I also already had the cable, the AC adapter, so thankfully nothing to purchase there. But we're gonna see if this works. I did order a silver door. It hasn't arrived yet. I'm thinking it might be taking a while. It is coming from China, like I usually get most of my cheap stuff. But let's take a look and see if this works. So if I slide this in, it should fit nice and snug in there. If I turn on the bottom, Green light is on, so that's good news. Oof. So that is the dreaded screen of death. So this got a bad screen. So that was not what was mentioned in the ad. We'll hopefully have to talk to the seller, see what he says, and probably give us some good news. So if I turn we do have sound. Let's see if I can kind of move that. You can kind of hear. There's sound, so that means the system is running in the background, so that's good news. I can't really test too much of if a game or anything's working in here, but kind of a letdown. Probably try to talk to him, see what I can do. I'll have to order a screen, and that'll kind of let us know what we're going to do with the system and see if he works with me on price. I mean, I did get it kind of cheap, but we'll see. So let me turn this back on. The good news is the battery that I had for this works. Like I said, I need a door. But that's kind of an unfortunate thing. So let's see what we do later on. Thanks for watching, and we'll compile this into the main one. Okay, so as we tore apart the PSP or gave it a try, we found out the screen didn't work. So you can kind of get burned by these sometimes when you are buying something off eBay, Craigslist, or whatever the case is. No battery, no case, no charging cable. There's no way to really test it. And so we did strike out. We did have the situation where the screen turned on and it was nothing but pixelated. Kind of a sad story. The good thing about these is that I have had some experience on changing the screens out. Actually had a PSP 1000, same story on Craigslist. Met the person. They had no cable with them. They claimed to have the battery cable to at least turn it on. Sure enough, get there. I offer them a few bucks less because I'm taking the risk, and sure enough, the screen didn't work. And we have another situation here. This auction, the seller did say that it works great, everything's fine, it's just missing those pieces. However, we get the piece, screen's broken. I did negotiate with the seller, by the way. I did send him pictures. I sent him a video of everything the day I got it, and he is going to be paying for the screen. So essentially, I paid $22 for the PSP, and we did have a broken screen. So we kind of just said, fine, let's call it that. And then I refunded him. I'm sorry, he refunded me the full amount, and I sent him back $22 for this. So I have the screen. Once again, I'm looking for item location in the United States. If you're in a super slow situation where you don't really care about replacing this and you'll get to it when you get to it, you might want to buy from China. They are going to take you a bit longer. You're looking somewhere around a month or two, sometimes longer to get that piece, but it does get to you eventually. I'm going specifically for a location here in the States, so I'm picking this one up. This is a previous seller that I bought a PSP 1000 screen from. And as you can see, these are cheap. We're looking at 12 bucks for a new screen. It's the replacing part. So we'll kind of have a kind of an entire tear down of the PSP. We'll reinstall the screen to hope that that's all it is with the screen. As we turned on the PSP, we did hear the audio. So we could tell that the OS is running on it and the actual processor seems to be working. That's about all you can do with that broken screen. So fingers crossed here, folks. We'll get this all put together and show you the process going from start to finish. Okay, back with, I guess, some good news and bad news. So last time we were taking a look at this, the screen was down. When the ad initially said that it works great, it was just solely missing a battery and a cover for the battery. Not sure if the seller actually knew or not. Everything else seems to be working pretty well. Thankfully, this joystick is present. Sometimes it's not. And he did work with me, so he did take off $10, which is about the price of an LCD screen for the PSP. Now comes the fun time of installing it. So I'm going to attempt to install it. I'm hopefully thinking that that is the only problem with this PSP, that we don't have any other issues that are present. And that'll fix it. Once that battery cover comes through, it will be nice to have kind of a perfectly working PSP. So let's go ahead and actually get this started. So I do have some tools here. So first of all, there's 7 screws on the outside of the PSP in order to take the faceplate off, and then other pieces. Flathead is suggested. I also have some other pieces that I do for other things. So this is kind of like a wedge. And then if there's something that needs to be kind of small, this piece it's kind of like a trim tool almost to kind of get things to come apart. So we'll be doing that. Let's start by getting this battery out. So this battery is super snug in here. The good thing is it works just fine. Let me move a couple of these things out. Let's actually pull out the LCD screen. So these are really cheap. You get these 10 to 15 bucks on eBay. Not bad. I'm not sure if this is okay, so there's a cover that I peeled back. So this thing will peel back once we've got everything installed. I have to make sure I don't forget that when I'm doing that. 2 pieces, so we have the main piece that goes to the motherboard and the other piece. These are the only 2 things that really exist on the screen, so nice little option there. Let's keep our fingers crossed that that is the only thing wrong with this PSP. So I did mention 7 screws. So we have 1 on the bottom, 2 on top. We've got 1 here and 1 behind the warranty seal. So I'm going to, obviously this is way out of warranty. Let me see if I can even get that back with my nail. Doesn't look like it. Let me see if I can just get the flathead and get straight to that screw. So as you can imagine, PSP is not exactly new. This little piece of tape is holding on for dear life. So you will not change my screen, I think it's telling me. You will not get to the motherboard. Okay, so here we go. Finally got it to peel back. It's way back here. So let me actually just take this whole thing off. And we don't need this anymore. So obviously the warranty is voided. So once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. What am I going crazy here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. So we're going to use our little screwdriver here, and I will fast forward this as fast as I can. So let me get started here. Okay, so those were on there pretty tight. We got all 7 screws out, but man, talk about testing the hand. So let me get those out of the way. Now comes the time of taking the faceplate off. So this should technically come off fairly easy. Let's see. With our luck, something is not coming off easy, so got the pry going there. Okay, so that is off. So this, we've got all our buttons intact here. So one thing that you can kind of do while you're here is make sure that there's nothing spilt, that if you need to clean anything at this point, this is probably the time to do it. So this will come off. Next piece that we have here is, here's the LCD screen faulty. We have to take this bottom piece out. These are the, I guess you call them the volume and home buttons at the bottom off. So the easiest way to do that is you want to just pry this off right here. It should come off relatively easy. Okay, so you just want to pry that off there. This will start to come off. Same thing on the other side. And let me actually try this tool. No, I'll stick with the flathead. I wish my flathead was a little bit smaller. Okay, really easy. So it just pops off there, and you can just move that to the side here. And now comes the time to get the screen off. So you want to take a look at how everything is in place at the moment. There is a little bit of like sticky glue that keeps everything on. Make sure that when you are pulling back, you are pulling just the screen. So I'm going to, there we go. There comes the screen. Okay, so there comes that stickiness. And there you go. So there's the screen, and there's kind of the motherboard itself. So there's a couple pieces here that you have to be very careful with. And let me actually pull this closer to the camera here, so you can take a look if you are going to be doing this. So this piece is the big part here, which connects here, and then this tiny little door here connects to this little piece here. These are very easy to break, so you want to be very careful with that. This one over here connects to the bottom piece here. So you want to, I've heard and seen in a few tutorials online that it's easier to take that off, but to get the original LCD screen out of there first. So what we're going to do here is pry these open. Let's see, I'm going to use the pry tool for this, so I'm going to come here and just going to be gentle as possible. Come to there we go. So that door is now open. You can kind of tell the door is now open there at the bottom. And now we need to be super careful with this one back here. So can't see it too well. There we go. So those two things are now open. The screen should now simply pop out. There we go. So here is the faulty screen. Once again, these are really small pieces, so you want to be super careful. There goes that junk. I did mention people taking this piece off too. So when you're putting the screen back in, it's easier to work with. So once again, that's this piece here, which controls volume, home, all that other stuff. And let me pop this open. It should be once again in the middle area. There we go. That is out. Let me just simply pull away, and I'm gonna put this down here and not forget about this piece. So everything else looks good. Now comes the time to get everything plugged in. So this can be really tricky. You want to make sure that you are entering everything as well as possible. And so let's get this in here. So first thing, line up your pieces as best as possible. And you want to do one at a time. So let me make sure. Okay, that is in there. That was fairly easy for that piece. Just push that door down. Now this back door needs to be open. So now you'll notice that that is kind of lifted. And I'm gonna try my best to get this little piece here inside there. Now this is super tricky because of how small everything is here. Oh, okay, so that worked really easy. And now I'm just gonna close it. So you should hear a little click, and there you go. So my screen is now installed. Now I'm going to lay this down here and now put this piece back in. So this is the home area where the home volume and all the other stuff was in there. And let me do this once again. So I'm gonna move this here, push this under so I can get this piece in here. And let me see if I can get in there. So hopefully I have a little bit of extra slack here, and I do. And let's see if you can fit in there nice and cozy. Okay, did pop, and lay you down. Okay, so everything is good here now. Everything is technically installed. Before I button everything up, I am going to do a little bit of testing here to make sure that we have a working screen. The last thing you need is to spend so much time getting everything back and then stuff not work. So I've got my battery pack here. Fingers crossed here, folks. So as I did mention, I have no idea if this is gonna work. So power light is on. I did like to power up with a broken screen. Oh my gosh. So we have the Sony screen and we've got everything working as it should. Okay, so we are good here. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. Gonna remove the battery. Okay, so we are almost there. So at this point, I'm going to take the protective, actually, let me make sure everything pushes in first. So you are pushed in nicely back here. You are sitting nicely here. Going to, but let me actually take the screen protector off now. Okay, screen protector is off. Now, I'm going to place the controls right on here, and these should click in, folks. Okay, that side has clicked in already, and that side clicked in too. So now we have everything good to go. Make sure you don't get fingerprints on that nicely clean screen that you have there. So at this point, this is now the point that you can actually clean the screen if you'd like. Mine's pretty good. Outside of the fingerprints on the outside, everything is good. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna place it on here, start lining everything up. So you should hear a bunch of clicking. These need to line up with the screws. So let me make sure you are lining up. And you've clicked in there. bottom is clicked in, and we are actually almost there already. So at this point, we just screw everything back up. If you want to try one more time to make sure that everything is working, check your volume buttons, kind of like I mentioned before. We haven't checked that, so let's make sure that everything works before we bundle it all up here. So power back on. I'm gonna get that screen to come on right now. There it is. We've got sound. Do I have volume going up and down? So let me just, battery's full. Volume is working. So there's the volume going up and down, like we want to make sure everything's going. So that means I did connect. We do have all the screen. There's the screen brightness. These never went that bright to begin with. But let's go ahead and button it back up. I'm going to, once again, fast forward this, and I can leave the, well, I'm going to have to remove the battery, obviously, because that's how the screws connected in the back. So battery out again. Now comes the fun part of getting all these tiny screws back together. So let's do it. Okay everybody, we're pretty much at the end of our project here. So we did get the PSP at a decent price. If you remember, we had to replace the screen. The original auction told us that this was actually working, everything works great, it was simply missing the battery and the door. Well, come to find out that it did not work actually. We had the pixel issue, which is actually a fairly common problem with PSPs, regardless of the versions. Funny enough, I believe the PSP Go's, which were some of the most crapped on PSPs, have the best screens because they don't usually go bad. But we did end up getting a good deal with the seller. He did negotiate with us and get us down to an appropriate price near what was initially advertised. We had to get a new screen, which cost us about $12. We were able to replace it, thankfully, as you saw in our video. We did have to get a battery, which cost us about $8, the door about $4. And I did actually jump in and get this little adapter. Now this is the Micro SD Pro Duo adapter. Let's see if I can get this in a better light here for you. Now what this does is it allows you to put micro SDs inside of the adapter, and then you can have all the Gigabyte that you initially want, I guess. This is the 32 gigabyte. I don't think it's going to be able to focus for us pretty well, but this is a 32 gigabyte micro SD card. You simply put it in the Duo adapter, put it in, and you're good to go. So I have 32 gigabytes ready to go on this PSP now. If I assemble everything, let's see if this actually works pretty well. Did some testing earlier with it. Everything seems to be working just fine. These little doors are kind of finicky, so apologize if this looks goofy putting everything back in, but there it goes. It's already in there, no piece of cake. Obviously your door opens up here for the memory card. This plugs in, we've got that. And the PSP does take a second to start, so bear with me. Has nothing to do with my PSP, but they just aren't exactly, you know, fast machines. So hopefully you can kind of see that. Let me turn the volume up a bit more here. And here it's up about as high as it's going to go. The screen is going to work just fine. So there you can actually hear some sound, hopefully. I'll start one of the games while I continue to talk. But here I'm starting Luminous, which is one of my favorite puzzle, I guess, Tetris sort of games. Works pretty well, but overall, if you're looking for a decent little project to work on, if you like working on these projects, the PSPs, the PSV, oh, we got an issue with the game. Let's, maybe it's not being read properly. What do we got here? Okay, we did start the game here. It's Luminous, or Lumines, or I'm not even sure, Lumines, for all you want to call it. But it is one of my favorite PSP titles. It's a kind of a Tetris wannabe title, so works pretty well. But anyways, if you like working on these little projects where you know, you can kind of pick something up and maybe work on it by yourself, this was a great little buy. So if you remember, like I said, we're probably about $40 to $45 in on a you know, brand new for the most part, refreshed PSP. I mean, it's a brand new screen. We've got everything. Let me actually turn the volume down. It's a little too loud. But yeah, you've got everything you kind of need here. We got new battery, new door. It looks fantastic on the back here. It actually looks like a new PSP aside from these scratches. It runs really, really well. You know, the screen is I would say as good as it could be compared to the first party stuff. I can't for the life of me remember if the brightness was a lot better on the standard PSP screens. But anyways, here you have the entire thing. Hopefully you enjoyed kind of watching this. It was one of the funner projects that we have, and you can kind of get something out of it. If you have any questions for us on maybe labor, maybe some of the stores we went to on eBay to kind of pick up what we needed, let us know. We can definitely help you out and point you in the right direction. If you like what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe. We have a few more of these coming. We like picking stuff up off eBay, Craigslist, and hopefully we can kind of share those with you as we go through. Thanks for watching.